So, facing a bit of technical challenges, as you'd imagine, it's radio, these things happen. What we're going to do now is just slightly shift our focus to this statement that was released by the current Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, who also acts in the capacity of a DA Member of Parliament, this being Willie Aucamp. Now, Aucamp also prior to his position now, served as the spokesperson for the party. So I just want to give you an extract from this particular statement where the minister outlines the details around why exactly he laid a formal complaint. So he says, subsequent to recent media reports, the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Mr. Willie Aucamp, confirms that he has submitted a formal complaint to the Public Protector. Now, he says he's requesting an investigation into the possible abuse of state resources by his predecessor and former minister, Dr. Dion George, and his then advisor and acting chief of staff, Mr. Shelton Malense, and the minister's then personal assistant, Mr. Travis Legoff. Now, the complaint follows Minister Aucamp's assumption of office, during which he says he was made aware of what he calls a baseless investigation into the private business affairs that he conducted. Now, the investigation appears to have been potentially politically motivated and aimed at falsely linking him to lion breeding, now an industry which Aucamp says he has no association. So we're still trying to chase members of the party, of course, to bring some clarity around this thing. As you can imagine, as a part of the biggest parties in the country right now, seeing them at loggerheads, particularly people who hold such high-ranking positions, it's a cause for concern. Now, we understand that there is a lengthier process in terms of trying to reach a solution after having put forward an application for an investigation with the Public Protector. There has to be a thorough investigation conducted by the party itself. So the DA would have to take the necessary steps in ensuring that they investigate who is a member, Dr. Dion George in this case, and also respect Mr. Willie Aucamp's accusations, while at the same time trying to be as open and transparent with the Public Protector, who also launches their own investigations in terms of trying to understand what exactly Willie Aucamp is talking about. But I think we've got our lines back up now, so we're going to turn back slightly to that story that we had in the beginning of the Joburg EMS. I just want to see if we have Xolile Khumalo on the line. We're struggling. Okay, well, it looks like we have Mabasa Mvene, who is going to be chatting to us now. Mabasa, a very good afternoon to you. We are going to be talking directly about this particular story in terms of the DA and Willie Aucamp launching this request for an urgent investigation. Now, I was just explaining to the listener now that it would run concurrently with another investigation by the DA itself, looking into the accusations brought forward by Aucamp against George, which will work in concurrently with that of the Public Protector. What's your take on this?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Just for correction there, not Mabasa, but
Mbasa. Mbasa, you'll have to forgive me. Our lines are so bad. I didn't even know you were there.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
Mbasa.
Not a problem. Okay, so from my view, I think that what's happening within the DA is a clear piercing of the DA's cloak of being everything that the ANC is not. Right. I mean, we are now seeing the party's internal fighting play out in full view of the public, and this is quite interesting and an indicator of what we can expect to play out in the party's elective conference next year. And so what we see now is a development of the sins of incumbency within the DA, as they are now holding ministerial positions, as opposed to simply playing the role of opposition, which they do play at particular times in the GNU.
Let's chat about that. Actually, it leads me to this other idea that, you know, we're nearing the local government elections, and we're seeing what seem to be cracks now becoming gape holes where we're seeing the DA and its internal squabbles and trying to vie potentially for better positions in the future. How does this particular incident, this two versus Aucamp and Dion George, how does this impact the race for any other potential candidate vying for perhaps a new position when there's a shakeup in the GNU, or potentially trying to secure as many districts as they can with the local government elections imminent?
Okay. So, well, from my point of view, I see this as the party leader, Steenhuisen, trying to really maintain control within the party to ensure that his faction or his group maintains their hegemonic control of deployment into government. And from my view, I think that this infighting, as I said, piercing the DA's cloak of clean governance, the DA difference and so on, it in a way it may signal to, for instance, the conservative voter within the DA to maybe consider alternatives like your Freedom Front, and then for your more liberal voter to consider alternatives like, for instance, your Action SA, as the party is doing well, for instance, in the city of Tshwane. So in terms of my understanding, this would mean that the contest for instance, municipal candidacy within the DA would also be influenced by what we see playing out at the national level, as we see this formation or this coming into the public view of two opposing factions, where this would also play out in the candidacy or the control for instance, regions and councillor positions within or in the local government elections next year.
Now, Mbasa, from your personal view, of course, having removed Dion George, who was really not, there weren't a lot of scandals surrounding his particular tenure at the helm, but looking at that quick removal and some of the investigations that had been launched, could one person sitting on the outside, just a citizen looking into the internal affairs of the DA, be concerned that potentially we could see what we've seen in the ANC play out, whether it be protecting of friends involved in perhaps lion breeding or anything along those lines, these allegations? Could this really be a mirror of what the ANC has been doing for years, but it's now happening with the DA? Is this a cause for concern for the average citizen who is stuck on who to vote for?
Well, from my view, I would say it's a definite yes, because what we are also seeing here is we're seeing money's influence on politics. This decision is an indicator or indicative of money's influence, because we have not seen the party leader, Steenhuisen, make a convincing argument in terms of what really is the cause or the rationale for the replacement of George with Aucamp. Instead, what we have seen is from the Wildlife Animal Protection Forum that, in fact, Aucamp is publicly aligned and his family has interests within, for instance, like you said, lion breeding. So we can then see that there could be special interests that are being catered to here. And hence I'm saying that we are seeing money's influence on politics, which we have also seen historically within the African National Congress. And so back to my original take, that we are now seeing a piercing of the DA's cloak, as they have postured to be everything that the ANC is not. And now that they've come into national government, we are seeing that, one, they want to stay within those ministerial positions, as we have seen them, for instance, claim to leave the GNU or threaten to leave the GNU on numerous occasions, and they have not. They are still inside the GNU, and we are now seeing the development of sins of incumbency, where, for instance, we are seeing their internal party factions spill over into government, and where we are seeing deployments, right, using that term deliberately, being influenced by pressures from, for instance, financial donors and so on and so forth.
No,
So this
look,
could
Mbasa,
be
we're going to have to just cut it short there. But I think that's an interesting point that you make there. There's heavy influences regarding these said deployments. And as far as I remember, they were against cater deployment. But that's Mbasa Mvenene, who's a political studies lecturer at the Walter Sisulu University, giving us some insight within the divisions of the DA. Willie Aucamp versus Dion George. What are your thoughts? Send us a text message on 072 702 1702.